In this lesson, you will learn how to solve quadratic equations by completing the square. The goal of this method is to make the left side a perfect trinomial and then using the square root method to finish solving the equation. It works on any quadratic equation, so if you prefer to use this method, then I would just learn it and perfect it. You want to start off by dividing any number. If a is not 1, then you need to divide by whatever number a is, because you want a to be 1. After you do that, you're going to use the formula to fill in the blank. So we're going to create a blank. We're going to use this formula here, b over 2 squared, to fill in the blank. And then after that, we'll make it a perfect trinomial and solve. Let's do some examples so this can make a little bit more sense. So for number 1, a here is 1, so I don't have to divide by anything. Now I need to be able to create a blank. You do that by moving the constant to the other side. So I have here my constant, subtract 3 on both sides. So I have x squared plus 6x, because I know this is not a perfect trinomial, that's why we need to move it. And then plus, create a blank. You're going to fill in this blank that's going to make it a perfect trinomial. And then on this side, I subtracted, so I have -3. Because I added a blank here, I need to add one here. So that's your first step. Move the constant to the other side. Now I need to use my formula here to fill in this blank. So it says it's b over 2 squared. B here is the number in front of your x. B is 6. So here I'm going to put in 6 over 2 squared. If I do that there, I must do that here. So we're going to work it out on this side. Just do 6 divided by 2. Actually, I'll probably do that on both sides just to keep it consistent. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm going to leave that as 3 squared. Okay. The reason I'm leaving it as 3 squared, it makes it easy for you to see how to factor this perfect trinomial. All you need to do is open a parentheses, take your x, plus whatever number is here. The plus is because this is plus. If that was a minus, I would have put a minus here. And then you're going to bring whatever number is here, which is 3, and that would be squared. That's the shortcut in factoring that. And then now I just need to work out here on the right side. So I have -3 plus 3 times 3 is 9. So I really could have just put a 9 there, because on this side it really doesn't matter. Now I need to combine these. So I have x plus 3 squared equals -3 plus 9 is 6. Go ahead and get the square root of both sides, just like we did with the square root method. So now I have x plus 3 equals, anytime you get the square root, you have your plus or minus. Square root of 6 is simplified because that's just 6 times 2. I can't get a perfect trinomial out of that. Last step is to solve for x, so subtract 3. You want to put that 3 right here. So I have x equals -3 plus or minus square root of 6. This is as far as I can go. And that's because the square root of 6 cannot be simplified. Or you can separate it and say -3 plus square root of 6, comma, -3 minus square root of 6. Okay, now let's move on to number 2. So for number 2, there is no number here, so I don't need to divide. The constant is already on the other side, so I'm good to go. So I have x squared minus 14x plus blank equals -32 plus blank. So again, this is b over 2 squared. Here's my b, so that's -14 over 2 squared. And do the same thing on this side, -14 over 2 squared. So I have x squared minus 14x plus, I'm going to go ahead and put this part in parentheses because it's negative. -14 divided by 2 is -7 squared equals -32 plus, this one, let's go ahead and work it out. -14 divided by 2 is -7. -7 times -7 is a positive 49. So now I'm ready to factor it. So I have x, because that's a minus, this is going to be a minus, or I guess you could have just brought that here, but really this is y. And then that's your 7 squared equals, I need to work out -32 plus 49, and that equals 17. get the square root of both sides. So I get x minus 7, because the square and the square root will cancel, equals plus or minus square root of 17. Finally add 7 and bring it here in the front. So I get x equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 17. And that's as far as I can go. Okay, let's try another example. I try to put different variations of what you might run into so you don't have any questions. For this one, first thing I see is I have a 4 here. You need to divide each term by 4. Each term. What you do to one child, you do to all your children. That's why we do that. So here I have x squared. Negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4x. That's just a fraction, which I'll leave it like that. And 0 divided by anything is 0. So now bring this to the other side. So add 9 over 4 to both sides. So I have, let me go ahead and draw a line here because I have a lot of room. I have x squared minus 4x plus 9/4 equals, oh, I'm sorry, I did move that to the other side. So x squared minus 4x plus blank equals 9/4 plus blank. I like this one because there's a fraction. So if you run into a fraction, now you will know what to do. So I have parentheses, b over 2 squared, b is negative 4, so negative 4 over 2 squared. Put that in here, negative 4 over 2 squared. So let's go ahead and continue. We have x squared minus 4x plus negative 4 divided by 2. Okay, that's squared. And then here I have 9 over 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 squared is positive 4. Okay. So here on this side, I'm ready to factor. So I have x minus 2 squared. Here I need to add this up. So remember, you need a common denominator to be able to add or subtract fractions. The common denominator here, least common denominator, is 4. This denominator is already a 4. You want this other denominator to also be a 4. So do times 4 in your denominator. Whatever you do to the numerator, you do to the denominator. So that's also 8 times 4. So now I have 9 over 4 plus 4 times 4 is 16 over 4. And now I can go ahead and add that. 9 plus 16 is 25. So I have x minus 2 squared equals 25 over 4. I'm ready to get the square root of both sides. So we have here x, oh, I don't need those parentheses, so x minus 2 equals square root of 25 is 5 over the square root of 4 is 2. Remember, you need your plus or minus. Now I got rid of my square root, so I need two different equations. My first one will be x minus 2 equals, and they come from splitting up this plus or minus. So let's make our first one positive 5 over 2. And the next one will be x minus 2 equals negative 5 over 2. So to solve this one, add 2 to both sides. We get x equals 5 over 2 plus 2 over 1, because we need common denominator again, which would be 2. So times 2 and times 2. This is 5 over 2 plus 2 times 2 is 4. 4 over 2. Add the numerator and keep the denominator the same to get 9 over 2. So this is one answer right there. For the other one, I'm going to do the same thing. Add 2, add 2. Let's go ahead and do the fraction up here. So times 2 and times 2. This will be x equals 5 over 2 plus 2 times 2 is 4 over 2, and this is a negative. So negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1/2. That's your second answer. Finally, we are going to work out number 4. I need to move the 6x to this side. Actually, let's go ahead and divide by 2 first, because I see that there, and then I'll move it after that. So I have 2, nope, I divided by 2, so I have x squared equals negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3x plus 5 over 2. Now the 3x needs to come to this side. So I have x squared plus 3x plus blank equals 5 over 2 plus blank. Fill in your square, b over 2 squared, that's 3 over 2 squared. 3 over 2 squared. This one has lots of fractions. So I can go ahead and factor that side to get x. I'm factoring because I can't divide 3 over 2. So x plus 3 over 2 squared equals 5 over 2 plus 3 over 2 squared. Square the top, square the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. I need to go ahead and work this out. Least common denominator here is 4. That one's already a 4. 2 times 2 would be 4. So I have x plus 3 over 2 squared equals 10 over 4 plus 9 over 4. So this becomes x plus 3 over 2 squared equals 10 plus 9 is 19 over 4. Go ahead and get the square root of both sides. We get x plus 3 over 2 equals square root of 19 over 4. So we have here a plus or minus. Square root of 19 cannot be simplified, but square root of 4 is 2. Last step is subtract 3 over 2. Bring it in the front because you can't simplify the square root of 19. So your final answer will be x equals negative 3 over 2 plus or minus square root of 19 over 2. That's as far as I can go because I'm blocked by this square root.